Hey, welcome back to Fun. Finally, you now. I'm Coach Katie, and I'm here to share a new exciting video. So today we're going to talk about the importance of celebrating your successes. Why is this valid? Why is this important? How does this help with our self-investment practices? And what does this have to do with our own journey? So I'm going to talk about a theory. It's called the snowball effect. For those of you who have worked in snow or lived in snow, you know that snow kind of has an adhesive to itself. So if you're trying to build a snowman, for example, you're going to start with a small ball, and as you continue to roll it, it's going to pick up more and more snow, and it's going to get bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger until you have a bigger snowball. So this is kind of the effect. I'm going to show this in a visual aid as well. So here's the snowball effect. So again, starting small, going to a medium to small, medium, large, and eventually a larger ball. So I'm going to talk about what this represents. I'm going to talk about this in analogy as far as, let's say you're working on building self-confidence, okay? So the first thing would be that you want to build your self-confidence and acknowledging that. And then the second thing might be adding rituals or practices like positive self-affirmations. I am intelligent, I am smart, I am lovable, I am confident, all these types of things. And then as you build this practice of the rituals, that is what creates more momentum to create a bigger snowball. And I want you to think of, as we're practicing these elements, of arrows going around as a metaphorical representation of gaining that momentum or growing and expanding. Okay, and so as we're practicing these self-affirmations and we're verbalizing them and we're hearing them on a narrow pathway, we start to rewrite our programming. We start to not just hear these things, but identify with them as truth. And we start to embody those and show up as that truth. And so each practice builds upon the other in a progressive way. It's also a good way to expand ourselves in new ways that we haven't done before. And each of those snowballs, when we practice those different practices and rituals, shows and proves to ourselves that we can do those things. And so it builds confidence in ourselves in doing those new practices. A lot of the most successful people in the world do these types of things. And it's not just celebrating the big wins, it's also celebrating the small wins. You can think of your small wins as those smaller snowballs and make progress towards bigger goals or bigger self-development practices. And those then perpetuate and act as a catalyst for the large and big accomplishments or big, hairy, audacious goals. We talked about that a little bit in the two-piece section on moving. So I would love to know, have you heard of the snowball theory and snowball effect before? What ways do you celebrate your wins, and why do you feel it's important to celebrate both small and big achievements? I think a lot of times people do not practice this, whether they misconceive pride with actual success, or they have misconceptions or programming related to not being humble enough if we're actually celebrating. We also live in a culture that likes to oftentimes look at it through a nonchalant lens of that's not a big deal or a big achievement. But if it's something new and it's helping you, then we're celebrating. So some of the ways I like to celebrate is verbalizing, like, woohoo, I did that, I accomplished it, I'm so excited. Another way I like to do that is by sharing my excitement with others and telling friends or family about it. Depending on what the goal is that I've achieved, I also like to give myself just verbal recognition, like, hey, Katie, I'm so proud that you did that, way to go. And so giving myself that praise as well. Other people may enjoy like going to dinner or going and celebrating by doing an activity that they like. There's no right or wrong way to celebrate. It's mostly that you're giving yourself the recognition and the pat on the back for a job well done. So try the snowball theory out. Tell me what you think. Make sure to subscribe below if you haven't already. And join me for the next episode of Fun, Finally You Now.